An understanding of the way in which radical improvements in environmental technology came about requires a knowledge, not only of mechanical opportunities and cultural advantages of the improvers and inventors, but also of the atmosphere in which they worked. The word atmosphere is to be read literally. Whatever complaints may circulate today about air pollution, as about traffic congestion, we tend to forget that there is ample evidence that both were conspicuous evils of the 19th century urban scene. While it was necessary for men, in Aristotle's phrase, to come together in cities in order to lead the good life, those cities, by virtue of coming together of men, would become places of pollution and congestion. The contribution of the industrializing 19th century was to bring even more people together in even higher factories and mines, the gravity more than factory acts and similar legislation. Sanitary and ventilating techniques had to be renovated and improved by radical inventions. The pollution of the length of the working day required an unprecedented provision of artificial light, and the matching pollution attendant indoor atmosphere by human respiration, even in structures above ground like shops and offices. Both served to aggravate problems that would have been almost intolerable without them. Since the safeguarding of health was so important an incentive to environmental study and reform, there should be no surprise at the important part played by medical men in these fields. What may on occasion surprise nowadays is that their progressive activities involve direct action in the field of building. In Liverpool, for instance, a Dr. Drysdale and a Dr. Hayward both built houses in the 1860s whose whole design turned around problems of ventilation and heating. J.J. Drysdale was the pioneer. His Sanborn house of 1860 still stands. John Hayward's house, the Octagon in Grove Street, is a more complex and slightly more sophisticated affair, and was completed 7 years later and also survives, though in a very dilapidated condition. Both houses are well documented, as are their designers' intentions.
1. Fresh air
the two
intake.
doctors collaborated
2.
on a
Settling
textbook,
chamber
Health
and
Comfort
basement.
in House
3.
Building,
Heating coils.
1872, while Hayward
4.
read a
Air
paper
passages
on
in lobby
House
floors.
Liverpool
6.
Architectural and
Extract above gas
Archaeological
lamp.
shortly
8.
after his
Foul air down duct. 7. Foul air chamber. 9. Foul air chimney. 10. Flue from
The use
kitchen
of an
range.
ascending-descending convection duct of this sort, powered by waste heat, in this case from the ever-burning kitchen range, was a pretty common form of air extract in the era before suitable fans were available. Indeed, one of the great rewards of studying the environmental literature of the late 19th century is that while heating had been reduced to rule and formulae, ventilating had not. Even when the two worst offenders in the vitiation of air had been finally exposed, carbon dioxide and excess humidity, neither was as susceptible to easy measurement and constant monitoring as heat. The two and neither was as susceptible of were normally the smell and the draft. The smell was observed in all inhabited interiors, especially when they were crowded and heated. The draft seemed to arise whenever those interiors were aired. The draft could be stopped at source, then the smell had to be stopped at source too. And this proved difficult while the ultimate causes of vitiation and stuffiness remained odorless and therefore undetected by a generation of engineers whose ultimate arbiter of ventilation was the human nose. This sense is that it was not a gross industrial pollutant that caused it, but the mere presence of breathing human beings in a closed space. The better those spaces were closed by improved construction, the better lit by gas, and the better heated, the worse the situation became. The rise of electric lighting is inseparable from this milieu. Its cleanliness and slightly mysterious quality seem to chime in well with the interests of the intelligentsia that was turning away from the gross materialism and determinism that had characterized so many mid-century attitudes, in favor of a more mystical and aesthetic approach. The tenuous curves, Pale walls and luminous decorations of Art Nouveau and Tiffany would be unthinkable without electric lighting, not only in the purely physical sense that effluence of
Art and
gas
technology
lighting
combined to
would
reject the
have
dark,
blotted
the coarse,
delicate
the
fabrics
overstuffed,
and
and the
darkened
stuffy.
decor.
There had been
Also,
previous
in the
attempts
purely
before the
aesthetic sense
1890s,
that
but they had been relatively
quality,
inconsequential in the
distribution of light,
absence of a
heat,
fundamental
shade,
revolution
highly
in environmental technique. But if the sudden availability of electric lighting marks the turning point in that revolution, the ferment of improvement and innovation had been going on for most of the century. The evolution of the kit of parts needed to revolutionize the environment of men is a history in itself.